Welcome to the County Connection Show for November, December of 2014. I'm your host, Scott Vargo, and I'm joined by all three county commissioners, Thomas Davidson, Dan Gibbs, and Karn Stiegelmeier. So we're going to start off with news with regards to Dan Gibbs. So recently there was an election, and in that election, I believe, Dan, you had some opposition. How did that turn out for you?
I won, so
congratulations.
So thank you so much, the voters that supported me. I really appreciate it. And to the ones that didn't, I have 4 years to hopefully earn your trust, and love your support if I run next time, possibly.
Congratulations, Dan.
So no, thanks so much. And I've missed the last couple of shows because the rules pertain that if you're up for re-election, you can't be on TV more than a certain amount of days before the election, I believe. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
We missed you.
No,
It's nice to have you back.
Thank you. Good to be here.
All right, and our second question or item that's related to the November election is Referendum 1A, which was a county ballot measure. Thomas, you want to talk a little bit about what that ballot measure was about? And again, that also was passed.
Yeah, so 1A is for three major things: ambulance services, the 911 communication center, and then some water quality initiatives that we've got related to mines, as well as related to operations up at the landfill. And I think the most important thing for folks to understand is that with the recession and with the drop in property valuations, Summit County was at a point where just from property taxes alone, we were down over $4.7 million annually in revenues compared to before the recession. And so this, more than anything, is to get some of that funding back. And basically the way that Tabor and state laws work is the only way that we can reset is through a vote. And thankfully it passed by 64%, right? Mm-hmm. Which is good, really good.
Yep.
So, thank you. Thank you all very much for supporting that. A special thanks to the ski areas and to the fire departments, the Summit Foundation, a whole bunch of different people out there endorsed it. Thank you to Paul Chedkowski for your letter, and Sarah Vane for your letter, and it was, thank you to Gary Rogers for telling everybody at the COO breakfast to vote yes on 1A. That was really nice. So yeah, we're very, very happy and appreciate very much the vote of support.
Absolutely. You guys want to talk in more detail about either or any of the items that are a part of 1A?
Well, I'll start with just going back to where Thomas started. The $3.8 million that was approved does not just go into our general fund like the over $4 million that we've lost out of the general fund. This goes very specifically into those areas that we talked about prior to the election, and that is Summit County Ambulance, the 911 upgrades, and water quality. So it's not just going into the general fund, it's going very specifically into those areas of great need that some of them we've known about for a long time, like the water quality issues. But the 911 is something that's relatively new that we need to have these upgrades. And Summit County Ambulance Service has been functioning as a fee-for-service through the county for many, many years, and we have just been the anomaly in Colorado in that we have been able to actually collect the fees to pay for the service. And so it's just in the last couple of years that suddenly we are faced with the same problems that are being seen throughout the state and the nation, where people are not able to collect, and all of our surrounding services are mill levy supported with actually more money than what we're going to be able to function with. So the majority of that went to Summit County, is going to Summit County Ambulance in cooperation with the fire departments. We're working to be more efficient, to provide that same quality of service, but looking for efficiencies so that we can, at the end of the 8-year sunset, have a better idea of how much it will take working together with the fire departments.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just can't thank the voters enough too for supporting. Just as Thomas mentioned, the percentages were huge, and to think our community. These are real critical services that we provide in our community with ambulance, 911, and then looking at water quality challenges that we have here locally. This is such very, very positive to say the least. We have been the only county, to my knowledge, or one of the few that have really had an ambulance department that has been funded solely based on this fee-for-service enterprise status that we have. So we will be more consistent with what we see nationally in many regards, as well as in Colorado too, where you have a dedicated funding source, and we have amazing staff that work at the ambulance department, and exciting to see what brings what challenges we have before us, but also how we work to partner with the fire districts down the road and look to have efficiencies, and it's exciting to say the least.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to do now in terms of going forward with a plan to collaborate with the fire districts in terms of how we deliver EMS services. And that was one of the reasons why we said this needs to be temporary, because we really need some years to figure out just how do we, have all of these different entities work together and figure out just exactly how much efficiencies can we realize, and figure out an ongoing amount that we would, because we certainly made it clear to everybody, it's not like this funding problem goes away in 8 years, but in this 8-year period, we'll figure out just exactly what kind of system we can put together and what kind of ongoing funds it will need. So.
Yeah, it's important to note, I think, that the fire districts are in different places. And so early on, we began conversations with Red, White, and Blue. Red, White, and Blue has medic units or ambulances that they were currently using. We worked quickly with them to change their role within the system, increase their exposure to the system. But the other fire districts, whether it's Copper Metro District and Lake Dillon Fire, neither of those districts currently provide ambulance service as part of their scope of work. And so there's a fair amount of a learning curve that Red, White, and Blue is experiencing right now in terms of an increase in activity level from what they had been accustomed to. And then you go to these other districts that don't have any real ambulance exposure currently. And so it's going to take time for us to understand how best can we incorporate those resources, what level of comfort do each of the fire districts have in terms of getting involved, so that there isn't an impact to what they certainly view as their primary service, and that is being a fire district and a fire response and a hazmat response type service. So there's a lot of details that need to be worked through, and again, working it through not with just one entity, but with several that are in different places within their organization makes that even more complicated.
Yeah, that'll take you at least a couple of weeks to figure out,
Couple of weeks easily, yes. By end of year, yes. Give me 6 weeks. How about that? So that will be a challenge, but that was, just so you guys know, that was one of the first things I did on Wednesday morning after the election. I quickly sent something out to all of the partners, so the fire districts, Flight for Life, St. Anthony's pre-hospital services, all of the folks that we've been working with on this issue. I quickly sent out a note to all of them saying, we're going to continue our efforts at these partnerships. The fact that we have this new stream of revenue does not mean that we are going to now suddenly stop with that approach. And so clearly the board, you guys have made it very clear that this is the direction we're going to go. Our ambulance folks know that, the fire partners know that, our other partners in the community know that as well.
Yeah. The 911 call center, there's quite a bit of new technology out there that we know that we would like to have in order to be able to get information and send back information with all the smartphone technology that's out there. And so that's a significant part of the next piece of this funding, as well as just some additional staff. One of the things that we had done during the recession was quite a bit of belt tightening, and quite frankly, when you look at the response rates that we have at our call center, they needed to be better in our minds than they currently were, and it was just a matter of, well, we've only got so much money to staff this center. So That's the next significant part of the funding question is the 911 call center. That system is funded in partnership with the towns and the fire districts, but a very large percentage of the overall funding comes from Summit County.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Summit County is the largest payer into that system. We also have surcharges that come in as a part of each phone that is located here in Summit County or billed out of this location. Those phones all have a surcharge that goes towards what's called the E911 operation. One thing that we've found is a lot of landlines are being turned off and being replaced with cell phones. In some cases, it's more than one cell phone, but in many cases, those cell phones are from Denver or from Tennessee or from Texas or wherever else. If those phones stay with that home number from out of state or out of the county, we don't collect that surcharge. And so we're seeing that surcharge revenue decline over time as well, which is another reason why this is helpful to keep our capital projects moving forward and some of those operational costs going forward as well.
And most people keep their cell phone number for life, right?
Yep.
They don't want to give a cell phone number up, of course. And so, it's sort of interesting because one of the things that we work on is trying to improve cell phone services throughout the county. That communication is really important for any number of reasons. But every time that we get a new tower up and get cell phone service improved in Summit County, more people decide to turn the landline off. Mm-hmm. And so we'd seen a 20% decrease in our revenue for 911 call center because so many people are turning their landlines off. Yep. So we quite frankly needed an additional revenue source not related to those landlines for the call center. So now we start a process of deciding just exactly what it is that we buy and how we implement that, right?
Yep, absolutely. So the next generation CAD system is probably the next biggest purchase that the center will make. We'll go through a very deliberate process of identifying who's available, what types of systems are out there, and then analyzing those and making sure that whatever we buy is capable of going into the future and incorporating these new technologies, as well as working for all of the different user agencies that we have in the county.
And lots of eyes on that because the towns and the fire districts are all part of that decision-making process.
Absolutely. All right, so we've run way over this segment, so we'll come back, we'll talk about water quality in the next segment.